be connected to. So today I'm going to be talking about how to break into different markets and industries, where to start, and who to talk to. So, for those of you that are aware or maybe not aware, this is the second live stream that I'm doing on this channel. On Green-Eyed Ambition, we talk about all of the bad, all of the not so sexy things that happen with running an event industry business. And so, this is going to be great for those of you that have ever said, I want to have more corporate events and I don't know where to go and start. I actually had someone slide into my TikTok DMs to ask me about that because they already are doing social events. And often, whenever I talk about one, that I either do corporate events or if I give tips on how to navigate it, the common question that I always get is, okay, well, how do I break into this? What do I do next? How do I find these people? So today I'm going to show you how to identify the right rooms, how to research networking opportunities without wasting hours online, and how to build simple systems that will keep every connection organized so you won't just be meeting people and forgetting about them. So, for those of you that are watching live or if you're watching as a recording, you're more than welcome to always drop a question or comment because, as I mentioned, I will be doing these lives every other week, and your questions are actually, your question might be one of the questions that's selected. So you can even send me a DM as well to have it as one of the featured conversations. So the biggest thing that comes around with networking or growing a business, the truth about it is that networking is a strategy and you have to have a system or structure around it. So you should be organized, intentional, and it should be really aligned with what your business wants or what you want for your business. That's probably better grammar. So that's where we're going to be digging into today's conversation. I will be sharing my screen at different parts of our conversation because I want to show y'all a little bit behind the scenes. And I have some really great resources that I wanted to create for y'all to actually download as well. So, one of the biggest things that happens with networking um, or just getting into getting clients. I have spoken to people in the past that often feel as if like I only can do social media to get in front of my and that's not the truth. Because it all depends on the customer that you have and understanding their behaviors. Because there's a good amount of people that actually are not on social media and are not consuming for that standpoint. Because to be very honest with you, if I didn't have the green-eyed ambition part of my life, I probably wouldn't have any social media on my phone. So, and in fact, like you might think that that's crazy, but a lot of my friends that I know through like my co-working spaces or individuals I know that have multiple 7 and 8 figure businesses, they're not on social media unless they're content creators, like entertainers, but like regular CEOs, they're too busy and doom scrolling is not in their schedule for efficiency. So they are not really doing that. So that's why it's important to understand, like if you're going to be marketing and doing things in your business, like networking still works. Like there are certain things that I think small businesses really have to look at. Okay, if corporations are doing this, why are they doing this? And networking events and going to networking events or doing sales calls and different things, they do these things because it's necessary for them to attract clients and business. But for some reason, for small businesses, and when I say small business, I'm not saying it in a condescending way. I'm talking about SBA standards of a small business. We don't want to take those routes because one, it can be very the skill set of sales. I get it. It's something that everyone's not the strongest at, being in front of people, public speaking, going into rooms where you don't know anyone. I understand that that can be really intimidating. But for those of you that are really wanting to get into the corporate space, it's going to come down into getting into spaces that are going to probably be a little bit uncomfortable. And that just depends on how you how you see this. I don't necessarily feel uncomfortable, but I understand that I'm a lot more comfortable in spaces than other people. So so that's where it's coming from. The thing about corporate events and just corporate businesses in general, it is very relationship driven. And it's once you know someone, then they know someone, then they know someone. So it's not just always going to be like these public displays of I need something. It's really being in that Rolodex of individuals. So with doing corporate events, it depends on how you want to serve them because I understand everyone that watches my channel that you might not be a planner. Some of you are on the vendor side, and some of you might be wanting to do marketing and different things because I don't only speak to event planners on this page. So understanding that um, it's not always just going to be publicly put out there, and also understanding that all corporate events aren't luxurious as well. And this is why I often say when it comes down to you doing events, having these generalized um, clients, it makes moving forward in business harder. Like, I don't think that you need to be so hyper focused that you don't get started. But what I do recommend is that as you're navigating through your journey and experiences and working with different clients and things like that, that if you have an experience that just is not like, I don't know, getting you excited, or maybe you work with someone like for myself in the beginning, I did a few social events. I was like, yeah, not my ministry. I love going to weddings. I love baby showers. I love all those things, but I also understand that I just don't get jazzed up about it. So as you're doing things, you learn to think to yourself, okay, do I like this? What did I like about this? If you go to events and you're kind of putting together this visual understanding of like like how does your business or what you do, how does that solve a problem? And I do feel as if the more specific you are, it really truly makes a big difference. So, what you will find in the corporate vein is that when you do it well, it's it will give you a long-term customer and there's longevity in it. I mean, to be very honest and transparent, I have some clients that have been working with me like 13, 14 years. I have one client right now. I'm just waiting for her to sign the contract for her holiday party because she's waiting last minute because they have some team members that are switching. And this is the first year I'm nervous about them booking their holiday party with us. And I know that the decision isn't because she doesn't want to work with me, it's because I feel like they're going to go to someone that's going to underbid. I'm pressing for things to make sense for us financially and to be able to execute at a certain level. And a lot of the corporate clients, or my corporate clients specifically, they're in a very budget focused era right now. So if she doesn't work with me, it's not because she doesn't want to work with me. In fact, she actually sent me the proposal for a competitor. It was like, hey, Jesse, can you do this? And I sent her the quote for what she needed. So, like, there's that longevity. So, one of the biggest things to know when it comes to corporate is that when you do a great job, you can have people working with you for a very long time. But then when you're trying to break in, sometimes it's not going to be fast because when someone has a lockdown on their client, it can be very hard for them to want to use someone else. So be present to that. But this is why even when you're networking with people, don't assume that if you meet said person today, that said person's going to book you tomorrow. Sometimes that happens, and sometimes, most times, I would say it won't. So understand that if you're looking to do more corporate vein things, that is going to be it's going to be a long road to it. But that's why with today's conversation, I'm talking about why you need to have some type of structure when it comes to doing networking events, and specifically for those of you that want to get in corporate. But in this conversation too, if you're not wanting to do corporate, That's totally fine. Use the same tips and tools that I'm going to be giving to you today for those of you that want to get more wedding clients, the ones that want to, get on preferred vendor lists, those that want to do more experiential events, conferences. Like what I'm sharing today isn't only for corporate. So if you're listening to this thinking like, oh, this isn't what I want to do, you can use everything I'm going to be talking about today. Just take the ears off for it being corporate and apply it to the niche inside of the event industry that you want to. So, what I would love for you to do if you're watching as a recording or live right now is to just let me know in the comments which niche are you trying to break into? Is it corporate, nonprofit, hospitality, experiential, or something else? Because I would love to hear from you. And then that will help me understand too more of what are y'all looking for because I'm here for y'all, but I have to hear from y'all to know what you're looking for. All right, so now let's dig into the corporate where to start when it comes to networking. I I always recommend to people to do networking. And maybe because my previous life of doing event before doing events, I was doing sales for one of the top corporate, uh, one of the top chemical companies in the world. Before I left corporate, I did sales, and I had to learn. Like they were literally say, "Hey, we need to develop this area," and good luck. This is what we're expecting. So that's why I do understand some of the things I'm going to be sharing with you right now. It might freak some of y'all out. But here's the thing. The only way I'm sure I felt that way in the beginning. Not that I want to say I'm sure, I'm positive that I felt that way in the beginning with networking, putting myself out there and all that kind of stuff. But it took time to get to that way, get to that space. Like in my previous life, I actually was on TV and different things like that. So doing things like being on this live, making mistakes and things, it doesn't scare me. But the reason why is because I've been working on this craft and I have been able to strengthen that. So when it comes to networking, the reason why I always recommend it is because this can be a really great use of your time. Um, because I'm someone, as y'all know, like if data is the key to everything, like it's just numbers. Like I don't I numbers just tell you how well you're doing in something, but or where you can improve. Like numbers are just numbers. There's no emotions involved in it. So I'll give you an example when I talk about like numbers with networking. I personally try to go to at least 1 to 2 networking events a month. Really, one networking event a month with a goal and attention and an intention. Sorry, my accent and lazy tongue, and an intention of connecting with 10 people. All right, so when we're thinking about and I have my iPad over here because I want to get my calculator out. Okay, so let's just say hypothetically that you take my advice today and you decide to go to a networking event once a month for 12 months with a goal of meeting 10 people. So if that is the case, that means that you would be meeting 10 people times 12 months. That gives you 120 people that you can potentially be meeting. And later on in this video, I'm going to be giving you tips on how to meet the right people and all that other stuff. But I just want to give you some numbers here and data to think about. So here's the thing. You're going to meet 10 people. All 10 people at that networking event that you're going to meet, they're not all going to be good leads. They're not going to be customers. They're not going to buy what you're talking about today. But the thing about it is that if you do it intentionally over time, you'll start to figure out and understand what could you expect for a conversion rate. They typically say that around for every 10 people you meet or do sales calls, this is like they call it the law of averages and numbers. This is what they teach in sales. So typically for every 10 people you reach out to, about 5 of them will be curious, depending on how good you are. There's some people that are really amazing at prospecting, like profiling, not prospecting, but profiling people to know like, this is the kind of person like, oh, you do this, like and that too, it takes time to get better at that. Like I am intentional with the people I connect with. Like I'm not just going into there just bombing out cards to just any random person. Like you're wanting to make sure you're connecting to the right people. So let's just say out of every 10 people you connect, five will be warm individuals. Warm meaning they may be curious, like they're like curious in being friends, connecting, having like a virtual coffee and connect, meeting you in person or something like that. And out of those five, typically you'll get one to two to be a customer or to give you a customer. And I say give you a customer is because what I'm going to be sharing in today's video is that sometimes with networking, it's not always trying to pitch to people that are your end customer. It's also making sure you're connecting with connectors when you're actually at a networking event. So if you're having for every 10 people, you're connecting with, I mean, every 10 people you meet, five will be warm ish. And that might be very lukewarm, not warm, warm, but lukewarm. And out of those five, you can potentially have that one to two will be a customer. So when we're thinking that two people out of every 10, and if you do 2 times 12, that gives you 24. So that means that you have the potential of getting 24 customers, be it because that is the direct end person you met at the networking event or because you met a really great connector. So you're like, Jesse, okay, cool, 24 clients. What does that mean? That depends on your client, like on your services. What is the average customer spend on your services? Some of you do really elaborate setups. So let's say your average client is spending $5,000 with you. So I'm going to do 24 times 5,000. Dang. That means that can be potentially 120K in revenue for one networking event a month. You're like, but Jesse, how am I going to find it? How am I going to make the time? This is why I say know the numbers, because if you can't make the time to potentially make have the potential of bringing in six figures and close business, I don't know what to tell you. Like, and it depends on how else you're getting leads and how you're attracting business and things of that nature. But it's important to know, like, if your average client is spending $500 and remove that extra zero, that means that's $12,000. And when I think about it from a holistic standpoint, typically a great networking event is going to be about 2 hours there and maybe an hour back and forth to get there. So that's another like 4 hours. So like let's say roughly each networking event is going to associate 5 hours out of the month. So when you do 5 hours times 12, 60 hours, 60 hours out of a whole year that this will take you. And let's again go back to if you have an average lifetime or average customer spend of $5,000, which is that 120K. So I'm going to divide 120 by the 60 hours, so 120K in potential revenue divided by 60 hours. So that means that if you make the time for that 60 hours, that means that you can actually envision that every hour you're putting into effectively and correctly doing networking, that your hourly rate is $2,000. And let's just say instead of your average client spend being 5,000, it's 500. Just remove that extra zero. So if instead of it being $2,000 an hour, it's $200 an hour. So I hope that that gives you like some ideas around the numbers. This is why I like numbers, y'all, because the numbers don't lie. So it comes down to how do you do better with your numbers? And again, that was only you getting two, so that's you get in two clients each month. But again, like I said, you have to know that this is a long-term play. You're going to have, it might take 1 to 2 months to get the traction, and sometimes it may not. Like I've gone to networking events, met someone, didn't really even go to the networking event thinking I was going to meet someone that needed me to help set up their honeybook. We had a virtual coffee and connect. We had a really great connection. They were like, hey, I am using HoneyBook too. Could you help me? And I was like, oh, awesome. Great. Like, this is why it's important to have an intention. So, one of the things that when it comes to researching the right possibilities, this is when we're going to now get into the research part of it. Because I wanted to give you the background of like, why should you be doing networking events? Because I know some people may not even watch the video until this point. To get this information. So those of you that are still watching, y'all are OGs and y'all deserve to get everything y'all need in life for making it this far. Okay, so the ways that you can go about actively researching. One, I like to use Google to find the best places. Google/Eventbrite, because you can find Eventbrite events, of course, on Google as well. So I want to give you some different terms you can use to help with finding events that you can go to. So you can use things like corporate event associations in your city, event industry mixers for corporate planners, or event industry mixers in your city, professional associations for your industry or conference, or professional associations in your city. Using those things will help you on Google to be able to find some. But again, sometimes depending on where you are, you might have a really long list and some of you might have a short list. But again, when I gave you that math, let's say you're in a small city and it takes you, you're like 45 minutes away from the next metropolitan city. Do the math. You know how much your average customer is spending. It might be worth it. It likely will be worth it. But let's get into now a download that I created for y'all. Let me see how I share the screen, and hopefully no family stuff pops up. Ooh, window. No. We'll do the entire screen. And I'll get better at this in time. Alrighty, so I did create for y'all a prompt, and I hope it should, yes, as a sharing. So I did create for y'all a prompt that I spent time this morning doing, because I do realize that everyone's not comfortable with ChatGPT, and most importantly, everyone doesn't understand enough about their actual client. So I have a free download, and I'll make sure after I do this live, because I don't believe I put the link into the caption. I put a placeholder, but I didn't put the actual link. So after this live, I'll make sure to put the link in there. And the reason why I created this prompt for y'all is because I love y'all, and I'm trying to be y'all OG. So this prompt, how it's going to help you is that you'll see inside of this prompt is going to have where you can input specific inputs that will allow for you to actively get help on finding what type of clients, or to have more clarity, one, on your target client, because I do understand that just from my own personal experience, when I talk to people, everyone doesn't have real clarity, and understanding which networking events to attend requires clarity, because it's not just looking up women associations or mom associations. Like, if unless you're doing events for kids, like, you have to know what type of person will buy from you, and then also knowing exactly the connectors that you should be connecting with that are in front of the people that will buy from you. So this prompt will give you an output on target audiences. So I believe that Let me look on my prompt to double check. So this prompt will ask you to input for the first part. It's going to help with giving you clarity on the type of people you should be networking with. So it's going to require you to type in what's your event business type. So be specific. The prompt won't work if you just say events. Y'all gonna kill, like, y'all be killing me with that. Be specific, please. So if you're a wedding planner, corporate planner, DJ, caterer, florist, I don't care. Put what you do, your business type in there. Then it's going to ask you for your target client. So type that in if it's to corporate events, nonprofits, luxury weddings, brand activations. Great. And then it'll also prompt you to put in your location. So, what I've created for you, you'll be able to copy the whole prompt, and then you're going to put in what your inputs are before you press enter. And I'm sure I need to show this to y'all right now. Let me do this and share screen. Okay, then go here. Or is it not going to do it? Hmm. Okay, let me stop sharing. I guess that's a little bit of tech issue. Because I don't have my two monitors up, y'all. I'm sorry. Usually I have my two monitors to actually share with y'all how to do this. So I'm going to have to speak it out to y'all. I apologize. Maybe I might do a snippet or something later, like a YouTube snippet to say, hey, copy this, paste it. So I created this prompt so that all you have to do is put in those three inputs, your event business type, your market client, and your city and location. So all you have to do is copy the prompt, put in those three inputs. And what it will output to you is going to be three networking opportunities where your target audience would attend. So it's going to give you that, and it's going to give you a strategy behind it or like some ideas around why this matters. It will also give you the top three connectors. So, connectors are people that are in front of your target audience. So, businesses and professionals who stand in front of your target audience is going to give you three of those top people. Why are they important? Where you can meet them. That is going to give you some tailored insights. I know, and I'm giving this all to y'all for free because I knew if I just did a video talking about networking, it wasn't going to be enough for y'all to actually, like, we first talked about the math, so then you know the value of doing this. But then now I'm talking to you about how to go about doing this, and I want to make sure you had like a solid foundation for this. So it's going to give you some tailored insight. It's going to give you a short explanation of why these six opportunities are the best fit for your company, your business market, and audience type. And then it's going to format it clear. Once it gives you those outputs, there's a second prompt on this download for y'all. And on this second prompt, it's going to have you paste that information into it. And then it's going to give you an output where it's going to tell you where to find them. So it's going to give you some specifics on that, the types of events. It's going to give you information on how to prepare before going to meet these people, how to network effectively in the room, in these spaces, and then how to follow up. And you're welcome. So this is going to make it easier for you to do networking. So the reason why I thought that I needed to give this to y'all is because I feel that some people, the numbers I gave you, going to one networking event a month to meet at least 10 people to potentially get 5 lukewarm leads, to potentially have 1 to 2 clients, so that you're in 12 months getting anywhere between 12 to 24 new clients, for you to be making multiple, like hundreds of dollars an hourly rate just for you making an effort to do this. But you just being in the room doesn't make you get that kind of revenue. It's being intentional with going and talking to the people you're supposed to be talking to and making sure you're in the right rooms. So I hope that this is helpful for y'all when it comes to figuring this out. Because once you know which places you need to be, why is important, what you're pitching to them, it makes such a huge difference. And also understanding it's a long game. And don't feel like you got to go with friends. I don't go to networking events with friends. Actually, it's funny. I've made friends because I go to networking events. So when I happen to bump in, like, because I don't always go to the same, and that's another part to remember. I don't go to the same networking events every month. I look for different ones because if I'm seeing the same 10 people all the time, like I might, I was, in all fairness, I probably once a quarter do some repeats, but I don't every month go to see the same 10 people. Going to see the same 10 people will not get me the results of networking. Getting into new rooms, meeting new people, that's where you get new results. So when you're going to do networking the right way, it's being intentional with the spaces, with your time, with your efforts. So I go to different places, I meet people, I go in, I'm friendly. You don't want to go into a networking event just like we've all been in that space where someone's trying to sell to you, like they're trying to sell to you so hard right there. Like you don't need to, like if you're going in, that's a great way to turn someone off. Like learn how to master meeting people and not being weird. And being nervous is not being weird. What is weird? Y'all know what being weird is. Being weird is that person, yeah, I do events and like you're giving me your price list, bro. Like, what's your name again? I don't like like you're almost suffocating the opportunity before you even know what they do. That's weird behavior where you're not genuinely trying to connect with people. That's the stuff that turns people off. Like the person that's going around the room just passing out their cards to everybody. Like, you don't know me. You don't know anything I do. Like, and again, as you get more confident with going to networking events, you'll realize what are those behaviors that are weird. And being uncomfortable is not one of those things. I've gone to events where I went to this one event for the industry I'm in, or that my client is in, and it was a room like of 600 people. Yeah. And did I know anyone? Um, no. I saw, I knew, I happened to be that I knew one person, but they were working. So I didn't know anyone. So I just walked into a room with 600 people. And I'm like 10 people, 10 people. I just focus on 10 people. And so sometimes when I'm in spaces and environments where I feel uncomfortable, I'll just say, oh my God, like, hi. I'd rather be that awkward girl that's like, I mean, I'm 6 feet tall, so I do have a certain level of confidence when I approach people, you know. So I'm not really timid per se, but I might be like, hey, hi, my name is Jessie. I figure I'll come and say hi to you. Um, I'm a little nervous. Like I say the elephant in the room. And then what happened is that when you do that to the right person, I don't use this as a tactic. I authentically say it when I authentically feel it. But I use that as a tactic because what will happen is that if you do it to the right person, then they be like, oh my gosh, like and then y'all will connect. And then now they're taking you around and saying, you need to meet these people. Every time I've done that, someone befriends me. And then they're taking me around to meet all these people. And then they're your, and then the beautiful part about it is that now they're your mouthpiece. They're taking you to all the people you should be meeting. So you'll hit that 10 even faster. So it's intention, like you need to be intentional. Don't be scared to go in places just by yourself. Like I don't care if anyone goes with me because I am the CEO of my company, not my friends and cousins that are gonna go. So, I mean, take that how you want to take it, but that's the most realist thing I can say to you. Go scared. Because the only way you're going to get better at it is by going scared and meeting people. and saying like, "Oh my gosh, I'm out of my comfort zone." Because I had a client, she's now a friend of mine's, and her and her husband, they do painting services. And I was like, I gave her this game I'm giving to y'all. I gave to her as well, and she's a very introverted kind of introverted person. Like she's just now feeling comfortable with doing video, putting herself out there in videos, but she knew she had to do it because her and her husband need her business to grow. So she would go to networking events and she would challenge herself to go at least one. And I directed her to go to ones where realtors were going to be at. And then I also had her go to some association meetings. And she started getting corporate clients when they used to only do residential due to me giving that advice. And they worked the heck out of that strategy. So if you're someone that's listening to this and you're thinking to yourself, oh, I'm just going to go to one networking event and I may connect with somebody, you're going to get those results. Like it's so much power in doing things to numbers. Like I had someone that did this and they're like, oh, I went to a networking event and it didn't work, Destiny. And I was like, how many you go to? One. I was like, well, you got what you were going to get. It's just the law of averages, y'all. Like I'm telling you, statistically, they say that for every 10 of what you do, on average, you're usually going to get a result of like 5 to 4. And that's if you're average. Those that do really, really well, they're going to get 8 to 10, like they're 8 to 9. Those that aren't that strong at it, they're going to get less. But on average, 5. So if you tell me you go to a networking event and you only talk to 2 people and it didn't work, was it supposed to? No, it wasn't. It wasn't going to work. Do it scared. So I giving you the framework with the free ChatGPT prompt. I promise once this is down, I will upload it for y'all, and it's free. It's just one download page, and it's going to be 2 prompts. And I'll try to today. I have a pretty full day today. I'll try to do a real quick YouTube short to say this is how you copy and paste it because I get that everyone's not confident and comfortable. And you can still use this prompt if you have, I believe, a free ChatGPT account. So if you're not using ChatGPT as paid, you should still be able to use it. All right, so now you're about to go out there and start meeting all these people. There's fortune in the follow up. So, like I said, this is a long game. So if you're not someone that's organized, even if you are organized, you need to be organized and intentional with your follow-ups when you go to networking events and have it so that you're rinsing and repeating. Have a strategy. Have it so that you don't have to think about it. And I'm going to share with you today my strategy. Okay, so the first way I originally started doing networking events, I did it manually on paper or something of that nature. Now I use HoneyBook. So if you're using a CRM, you can do this as well. So the way that I do it when I'm at networking events, I have a digital card. And the card that I have it under is Blink, BLINQ. I don't care which digital card you have a digital card. I'm sure you can even Google on YouTube how to create a Canva digital card. You need to have a QR card, or you can have physical cards. I haven't had a physical card. I don't even know how long. I do digital cards. The reason why I like digital cards is because they send me their information back with them. I get their information and then they get mine. That's why I like it. And then I have a trail, paper trail. So with that, how I do it is that if I meet someone that I want to connect with, I'm like, hey, they're like, do you have a card? I'm like, yeah, here, scan it. They scan the card. Can't show you what the app looks like, but I scan it. They send me their info, and then they get my info. Amazing. The next step to it is that within 24 to 48 hours after meeting them, I send them a message. And it's not a sales pitch unless that's what the conversation ended at. I do not go in for the juggler. What I usually would do is if I'm at an event, I am going to be I will typically say, "Hi, it was a pleasure meeting you." I'll tell them where we met. I will have a sentence of what we discussed. And then my game plan is to do a virtual coffee and connect. So this is going to be great for those of you that are network profession, like in the corporate vein of it all. For those of you that might be meeting individuals that are not connectors, what I like to also do is still send that person a message. If I have a new event that's coming up or some cool thing that's happening, I'll just do that, but I'm not going to pitch my services. I'm only going to let them know about what's new and exciting about me or to see if they're open to connecting. Again, when you're at the networking event, you're going to realize that this person's someone that will want to meet you outside of it. Like you need to be able to decipher that. But I always will, within 24 to 48 hours, do that. Because why? A lot of people don't. Like, a lot of people don't. And sometimes it's because people lose cards. There's been times I've lost cards, and that's why I kind of like the digital one now because I've misplaced cards before, so I like that. So I typically will follow up with the person at least 2 times after that networking event. Once to get them to schedule a virtual coffee and connect, and then the second time is just to, if they haven't responded. So I usually will reach out within 2 days with that first message, and then I'll do my second follow up about 5 to 7 days later. And the reason why is because sometimes people are just busy and they just need that gentle reminder. I haven't ever had someone that I've done the second follow up to that's like, why don't you stop reaching? They don't do that. They'll just not, if they're not interested in what you got to talk about, and they're not interested in meeting you or knowing you outside of that interaction at that networking event. That's why I said go into it knowing that 10 people you'll meet, 5 of them will be warm, and another 5 will ghost you. So you'll just know, like it's just the averages. So like someone doesn't respond, I expect that, but I do expect some will. So that's why you need to do follow up. So typically I'll send the 2 follow-ups technically, I guess you would say 7 days after we connect. And the reason why you want to do that is because you stay at the forefront of their mind, while they still remember all the great things about you, and they're still excited. And then what the big part to keeping this all organized is having some kind of structure and organization with it. I do keep mines in Asana, and that's my easy way to do it. If you got to do it in Google Sheets, you can do Google Sheets. So essentially, I like to do it. I indicate what month I met them, what event I met them at, or where I met them, what do they do, what was something we discussed, and then their information. So I will repeat it for you. Um, I always want to know what month, because that's helpful. Because think about like if maybe it's like 4 or 5 months down the road. Is it still sharing? Oh no, it's not. Like 4 or 5 months down the road, like, oh, I can't remember I met you. Like I want to make it seem as if, not make it seem, but it is that connected, value action. I value their time. I value where this might lead. So that's why I always make sure that I can say, oh, yeah, you remember we met October at blah, blah, blah event. They're going to be impressed that you even knew, because a lot of people don't know where they've been meeting people. They don't remember where they saw them and all that stuff. So what month you met them, where you met them at, what industry they're in, um, their contact information, what you spoke about, because that's how, if I have, because I have an email template that I use. Hey, so and so, it was great to meet you at blank at on this day. We had a moment to talk about blank. Like when I say everything's a template and everything can have systems, I mean everything. It just comes down to you making the time to do this and putting it in there. And then on the spreadsheet, I keep track of when the first call, when the first email happened, when the second email happened, and then I have a column that we did a virtual coffee and connect. That way I know which were the ones that actually followed through. So even if that person didn't turn into a hard lead, then I can follow up with them later. So here's where for you to think about how can you stay consistent with it. A bonus tip I want to give to you, this is where you can use integrations like Zapier. And let's see if I can share. Hold on. Let's see. Oh, hold on. Oh, but why don't it let me see myself? That is weird. I'm gonna have to figure that out. Hold on. Let me get back to y'all. I want to go back here. I want to share the Zapier screen. Oh, okay. An issue came up. That's why it won't let me share it. I'll figure that out. Okay, so ultimately, Zapier is a platform, depending on how, and Zapier is a platform that allows two platforms to communicate. So I hope this is following for you. So Zapier allows two platforms to communicate. So for those of you that are going to use possibly Blink, you can go onto Zapier, ZAPIER.com, type, and then the website will come up. And then what will happen is that it will ask you which platforms do you want to have communicate to each other. So one of the platforms that you want to communicate, it could be Blink. So you can have that whenever your Blink card is connected, that person's information is then sent to your email marketing platform, because we should be using email marketing. And if you don't know how to do email marketing, no shame. That needs to be a question dropped into the box or dropped in my inbox between now and the next 2 weeks so that I can talk about that a little bit more. But essentially, I use ConvertKit. So a way that this could look is that when anyone scans my Blink, that person's information is then zapped to ConvertKit, and I can have that it adds a tag onto that person's name so that it's saved as a new contact in my email marketing. Think about this tag. So the tag inside of ConvertKit, it can then allow that it starts a actual sequence. And that this might actually be a really good video. I just got to figure out how to share the screen. So inside of ConvertKit, it does allow that when someone has a tag put on their name, that it goes down a sequence. So again, as I mentioned, we're not going in for the jugular. We're going in for nurturing, adding value, adding heavy on the adding value, staying at the forefront of people's minds. So if you're going to have an email sequence for people that are new to you and learning about who you are because you went to a networking event, a great sequence is going to be nurturing and not being weird. Make it seem as if you're adding value. So if you're someone that does an event service, you may have it that it won't be able to tell them where you met them or anything like that. But maybe like 2 or 3 weeks later, it could be the beginning of the sequence where you're sharing some tips or something of that nature. Like have a 3 email sequence that's happening over several months, and not several months, I would say pretty much like 45 days, so that it's adding value. That's the key, not selling. Because what will happen is that when they're ready to get sold to, a lot of them will either respond back or ask or inquire more, or the right time will come up where you can pitch to them. But when you're using a system where you're knowing, okay, every month I'm going to connect these names. Once I connect these names, I'm then going to have them scan my card. When I get their information within 24 to 48 hours, I'm going to thank them for talking to me with my email template, where I'm going to still be specific to the people that I'm talking to, but I'm not reinventing the email each and every time. I'm inputting their information into my spreadsheet and following up with them. And as I mentioned, this is a long game. So that's why I said that you would want to, the people that you actually get to do something with you, you stay at the forefront of their mind. Nurture those relationships. And the thing is that it may seem like, Jesse, I don't have the time to do any of that. As I mentioned, you will have some people that are ready now, but also know that everyone won't be. So this is why you have to be able to read people and be able to articulate what you do clearly, especially when you're in networking events. Like, you can't be really vague about what you do. And I saw like this cool statistic as I'm wrapping up for today, and I thought it'll add value, is that HubSpot showed that 70% of professionals say networking is still the number one way they discover new opportunities. Heck, they say right now the job market, like putting applying on these job boards, are a waste of time. Like, this is what they say, it's a waste of time because it's all about who you know to get jobs. Shouldn't be that way, because like I don't think it should be that way personally, but that's where we are. And also they said that 85%, LinkedIn Business said 85%, yeah, well, this ties into that. 85% of job opportunities and business opportunities come from networking. 85%. I'm not saying what you should do. I'm just making a recommendation. So I'll make sure to have the link for you. So before we jump off, here's what I want you to remember from all that I shared. I know it's a lot. I know a lot of things I talk about can be a little heavy and a lot to take in. But the key to remember is that networking is not about collecting people, it's about following up, creating community, and nurturing people so that you're able to get the goals you want, but also think about the how you can help other people. That's something that's really been impactful with doing networking events, is knowing that I'm meeting people because I'm looking for clients, but I'm also meeting people because I may know clients for them too. Like, it has to be two-way. Don't just be taking from people. Like, if you met someone that is really awesome and they do graphic design and you know some people are looking for graphic designers, you be a connector. Like, this is that economy that we're in right now, is like, is the people economy essentially. So now you know like where to show up, like, because I'm giving you that prompt, you're getting some insight on how to research, how to track your connections, so that you can really get out of the space of just hoping for opportunities and really start creating them. So if today's session gave you any clarity, I would love for you to hit the like and subscribe button and share this with someone that can actually be impacted by this. And as you know, if there's anything that you have a question on, comment on any of my videos, send me a DM, because this conversation today came about because someone slid into my TikTok DM. So until the next 2 weeks, I hope you have an amazing Thanksgiving. Enjoy time with family, and I hope all is well in your spirit and in your business. So as always, just remember, systems are what's going to help your business with growing, especially when you're in action. Alrighty, have a good one.